Okay, so let's do a little sweep of the room here. So this is basically, I would say, if I had to guess, it's about a 12 by 12 space. And it's so small that I can't quite get it all on the camera. But I do have one window there, and then I have a stand-up table here, my shelving, my big work table that I sit at, and it sweeps around to my closet and some more storage. So it's not a huge room. So I'm going to start here, and you can see I have double doors to my craft room, and they're always open. I never shut them. I don't need to. Right away on the very first door open here is a magnetic board that I got from Target, and that's where I store my Tim Holtz movers and shapers dies. They just, you know, they're magnetic, so they stick much better than throwing them into a drawer. And I'll tell you how we got that on the door like that in part 2. This is my big desk that I used to have my computer on. The computer is now out in the living room. This is my living room. There's the computer now. It's on a desk right here in the living room, which is kind of nice when you have a teenager, and you guys know what I mean that have teenagers. I have some art there, and I have my computer and little desk. So back to the craft room. Now that I have the computer out of there, it's really nice. I have much more room, and this has now become my work in progress table. So I'm going to do a little something down there. I'll tell you about that in part 2 or 3 of the video. But basically, this is my big desk that I have all my stuff on. And my current collections of Graphic 45 paper, amongst some other things, are here. They're all stored in these Cropper Hopper paper storage, vertical storage units. And within them are collections. I have everything labeled. And I can easily slide these out and pull stuff and spread it out on this little table. Not little, it's a big table. And work from it. I do keep projects in progress in these little dollar store baskets, so I don't have things spread all over the floor anymore like I did in on my blog that day. Projects I'm thinking about starting in another little bin. But basically that's what's going on there. I'll go into more detail like I said. A lot of you asked from my blog, what do you do with all the art and the stuff that you make? And honestly, it's all over the house. You saw some of it over the desk out in the living room, and it's just everywhere. And so there's my little head that I made. And then I have, you know, a card rack up here with cards I've made. And as you look around the room, that basket has some stuff in it, mini albums and whatnot. An art piece that I did up there, way up high, and then stuff is on display up there, and I have stuff here. I have stuff everywhere. It's all over. And if you know, I've done even more than that, of course, but I give it away. I give it to people as gifts. So again, I have this little spinning rack. Sometimes this goes with me to classes or crops so I can sell cards, but I also pull from here to use for myself for cards. So on this tall shelf next to my desk, I have all my books and magazines and reference materials, my notebooks for different companies I'm doing stuff for. In the 2 cloth bins, these are very inexpensive, I have basic office supplies, staples, paper clips, pencils, the 3-hole punch, and things like that. And then I just got a large bin to put alterable items, you know, craft things and stuff to cover. And then I have my, those things. Clipboards. Okay, so there's the big pretty window to the Florida sunshine. And then I have this tall vertical craft storage thingamajigger, like everybody's probably got these, right? It has, I say vertical because it's tall, but the paper storage portion of it is horizontal, which I'm not a big fan of, but it works for now. I keep, in this one in particular, I keep my Tim Holtz paper collections. Some of his single woodblock stamps and random things are in there. All my Sizzix cutting mats, pads, and stuff of different sizes, because my Vagabond's right there. They go right there, so it's very handy. And then I love these art bin storage containers, the ones that are, it's a very narrow one. I think it's maybe a 2-inch. It's got all these great cubbies, and I have 2 full ones of Tim Holtz Ideology metal stuff and washi tape and, you know, that type of thing. I have more of his ideology in a different place, but this is mostly the little tiny pieces that you have to keep track of. Now, I do need to get a third one because this little basket is full of just random stuff, non-Tim Holtz that I have found, maybe Seven Gypsies or Hobby Lobby or whatever, and I've just been throwing it into this basket, which is now getting full, so I'm going to fix that. This is my stand-up table. I'm usually here all day, every day. Rarely do I sit. If I do, it's because I'm doing something kind of tedious like cutting 100 things or whatever. But mostly I'm standing up, and I'm going to talk about this table setup later. But underneath the table you can see more of those craft storage drawers. I have them all labeled. This is mostly ribbon down there. And I'm going to show you in either video 2 or 3 how I organize the ribbon within the drawers, because there's some good tips there. Here's my little shelf. Back behind the shelf is a giant, it was an old big cork board. I bought it at a garage sale for like $3, covered it with fabric, trimmed it in some pretty trim. And back in the day when I was quilting a lot, that's where I would hang my different rulers for cutting fabric. And that worked for a while, but then I got away from quilting, got into paper crafting, and now we have mounted this shelf. I don't know if it's one of those making memories jobs or not, but basically my husband said, we don't want to take that other thing off the wall. It's going to tear the paint and the wall and everything. Let's just mount this right to it. So we just left it there and we mounted the unit to it, and that works for me. So anyway, on here are all kinds of things. There's buttons up there, re-inkers, stickles, embossing powders, all those little bottles and things. But I do go to these often, so I want them out and available. My markers are there, my little toolkit, several little tips I'll tell you about tomorrow in the next video to do with all that. So I'm just kind of flying through right now. So this is my little corner over here over my work table. I have more paper storage here. This is cardstock, strictly close to my heart cardstock, because I still wear that hat from time to time, and a scrap bin back there. All my Sizzix dies, my steel rule metal dies, like Spellbinders, Quick Cuts, and so forth. Mostly this is Ranger products, as you can see, his stamp pads, stains, archival inks, and so forth. And then I'll talk about all these little bins and things in part 2 that I keep my stuff in, but there's more Ranger product there and more dies. Okay. So as you can see, I'm sort of hodgepodge with my organization as far as what everything is on. I don't have uniform, beautiful cabinets. However, everything that I have on the walls is white. So it kind of goes together. It works. So, you know, this was a handmade little shelf from a friend whose husband liked to tinker around the garage. And of course that was store-bought. And these are regular shelves from the hardware store. This was an antique little top of a hutch, I believe, of a cabinet. It was dark brown wood, and I painted it white, and I store things in and on it. We bolted it right to the wall. Same thing with this. This is one of those 9 cubby hole basic storage units we all see at Walmart and Target. I purchased those fabric bins that are fairly inexpensive. They already have that little pocket there. Let's look at this one. And so I went on the computer and I type in the names of, these are all my stamp sets for Close to My Heart. So I make categories that work for me when I'm trying to find stamps, and I just slide those in the little windows. So I have 9 of those, and then I have a few more up top even. And because I don't have a light in my closet, we got a lamp that has one of those cords with the switch on it. So if I really need to see in the closet at night, I just flick that on. And I have my little antique cabinet here, which I love. I'll show you that. I'll show you that in part 2. There's some good stuff in there to show you and to share with you. And so here's the closet. No doors. Took them off. They're out in the garage. And I know a lot of people, you know, you put up a fancy shower curtain rod and a pretty piece of fabric, but you know, I just don't need that in my way. So this works for me. The top shelf is always stuff that I don't need to get to very often. There's actually a fax machine back there, so that tells you that. This cinch I don't use very often. Some other extras and supplies and things. So I always put those up and away a little bit. And then these are more things that I would use on a regular basis. Fibers and twines and embossing folders and just miscellaneous projects even are in there. Okay, and this closet is weird because it has this weird little tuck away space over here that isn't very functional. Like I can't get to it very well. So that's where things go I really don't need to get to very often, and especially big things. So there's a big roll of like some lacy curtain fabric back there. My light table is back there, some large canvases, and so forth. So I just kind of tucked that back there. So this middle shelf is, again, horizontal paper storage. Not my favorite thing, but it works for me. These three are the same, and they're all from the Container Store. So I basically put things like layouts that are done and ready for photos, and then certain cardstock collections that I need to keep separate. Like this is all my coordinations for Graphic 45. Again, more layouts that are done, some Graphic 45 collections, not maybe the newest collections, but still active and on the shelves. So I keep that here, whereas all the very current stuff was over there. Everything is in clear bins, pretty much. I mean, those are fabric, but I know what's in there. But basically, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind for me. So I have to have things in clear storage as much as possible. So I just keep everything labeled. I keep it clear. And I'll talk more about why, you know, there's stamps there, stamps there, stamps there. It's my method. So I'll explain that in part 2. And so, again, drawers and storage boxes, everything's labeled, and there's a rhyme and a reason for why everything is here in the way that it is for me. And then this is the one that needs help. So this is still yet to be done. Another horizontal cabinet with papers and random stuff in it that I really need to go through. So I haven't had a chance to do that. I'm going to do that. And then more clear storage. These are older Graphic 45 papers that you see right here. My camera's on a tripod because I didn't want to jostle you around, so it's hard for me to zoom in really good here. But this is older paper collections, and I mean some of them are really old, like not, you don't see them in the stores anymore, but I can't get rid of them. I use them all the time. I make cards with friends, so I just needed to put them away, but not too far away. And then the same goes down there. There's some more seasonal Graphic 45 stuff that I keep in those art bin storages, like Christmas paper, Halloween paper, place and time, stuff like that. Okay, so that's the closet in a nutshell. And then I have this tall cabinet. Probably got this at Target. It just houses more stuff. It's tall and kind of sticking out a little bit in the room, but it's not too deep. It doesn't get in my way. And I have some art sitting up there. And in all these little bins, all these bins come from Walmart. They're cards and tags and things that I have either made with friends, made myself, and I do pull from them and give them away. Sometimes I have a really hard time giving some of them away, and so those will be the ones in plastic zippies. Like, I like them so much I don't want to give them away. And then these are filled with projects, small albums, boxes and things that I've made in the past. I like to refer to them. And then just some supplies and things. And then in the bottom are some alterables and just some random things. Okay, final door is this one. And I basically went to Walmart and I got one of those, well, actually I had to get 2 of those pantry storage shelvy things that go over the door. Okay, and I stored some of my punches that have more themes to them, not just circles and squares and whatever, but actual shapes. I store them here, and my border punches of all different kinds. And then on the very bottom are large bottles of like gesso and spray adhesive and stuff that I go to often, but I don't need them right in front of me all the time. And this door has a little stopper, so you can get behind it, and with all that heavy stuff on the door, it wants to kind of fall closed. But so behind here I kind of store things like display boards that I take to classes once in a while. And then I have this great little thread spool holder rack that I don't have to get to constantly, so I just kind of keep that behind there. Kind of keeps the dust under control too, being down there. Okay, so that's part 1. That was a quick overview. I'm totally out of breath. So watch for part 2 coming soon. Thanks so much. Bye.